Hey, everybody. Tina Campbell, the New York and Connecticut regional partner of Master Networks. Welcome to the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York City, the whole tri-state area here, our first quarterly training of 2022. I'd like to now go ahead and get right into the meat and potatoes, and that would be our speaker, Lynn Rowe. Lynn helps entrepreneurs and small business owners develop a strong foundation of leadership so that they are not the only ones who can run their business. She takes business owners from entrepreneur to CEO of a successful, profitable business. She's a certified professional coach, group facilitator, and change maker. I love that. Lynn helps independent business owners develop a foundation for the business that serves as a catalyst for growth. And you have Lynne Roe Consultants is your business. And one thing I just personally want to let you know about Lynn, Lynn is such an embodiment of the Master Network's philosophy. She's kind, she's helps people all the time, and she really does care about your business. So take it away, Lynn. And for those of you, if you want to just see Lynn speaking rather than the whole Brady Bunch, just go to the top right hand corner of your screen, hit view, and then you'll hear just the speak. You'll just see the speaker. Thanks, Lynn. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me today. I'm glad you all were able to join us today. This is going to be a working meeting. We're going to be working on your businesses today. You're going to work on your own business. So check the chat. Pasquale has been very nice to offer to continually post the same document again as people come in. So when you have a chance, download that document because that's what we're going to be working with today. If you get a chance to print it out and can work with it on paper with a pen, that might be easiest, but it's a Word document so you can still work on it on your computer if you want to do that too. And if you can't do any of that, you can just have a piece of paper and some notes in front of you. That'll work too. So the purpose of today is to really see where your best clients are coming from. And once you have that knowledge, determine how you can use that knowledge that information to help you expand your business. All right. So let me just start with a trip to Disney World. I'm sure many of you have been to Disney World. If not, I know that you know someone, have a family member, a friend who's been there. And I want you to just think about walking into Disney World. And as you walk in, there are some people who walk in and they get the map and they sit down and they say, okay, let's sit down and let's make a plan. And they get ready to make a plan to do something. And maybe they get a cup of coffee while they're thinking about it. And they spend 30 minutes to an hour figuring out what to do first and then what they're going to do next and what to do next. And at the end of the day, they say, well, you know what? We didn't get so much done. The lines were pretty long. Wow, that was a really long, hard day. Maybe we should take tomorrow off. So that's one group of people. Then there's another group that walks in and they look around and they say, oh my God, this is great. Let's go do this. And then they say, oh, that's great. Let's go do that. And there's the third group, the third person will say, oh, wow, I just heard that this group just went to such and such a ride and it was fantastic. So let's go do that. At the end of the day, they are exhausted and they're grumpy and there's arguments within them about the group because they didn't get to go to a lot of the things that they were interested in and they didn't take any time to relax. And then there's this third group. They walk in with the plan already set for them. They've gotten a book that gives them the plans of what to do, and the plans have been determined based on the size of the group and the ages of the people in the family or the group that they're going with. So it's a different plan for small kids or families of teenagers or groups of adults. And it's designed to get you to know exactly how many days you're there and so that you can get to all the best, most popular things that age group or that group of people would be interested in, and to avoid the worst of the crowds. It also plans in time for flexibility and to be a little spontaneous and to relax as well. They know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, and what they're doing next. And at the end of the day, they've had fun and they can't wait to go do it again the next day. So entrepreneurship is a lot like a giant theme park. There are literally thousands of options to choose from as you're growing your business. And we see the same types of people. There are the ones who enter entrepreneurship without a plan, or then they make this plan to get started, and then they plan some more to get started, and gee, I should really do this before I get started. And they're usually the first ones to fail because they spend so much time thinking I've got to get this stuff done before I get started that they never get started. And then there are the others who say they chase after this shiny object or that shiny object, and they say, oh, wow, this is great. But they exhaust themselves and burn themselves out. And they've spent way too much money on things that they didn't really need yet. Maybe they needed eventually, but they were the wrong things. And then there's the third group. They come into entrepreneurship with a plan. And it's a plan for growth, and they know exactly what stage they're in of business, and they know what they have to do next to grow their business from that stage to the next stage. And they spend the right amount of money, not too much and not too little, on growing their business. So which group do you think is the most successful? It's the ones who have a growth plan and didn't plan to plan to plan, but they started with a plan and they knew exactly what to do next. So every business, no matter what size, needs to develop a plan for the growth of their business. And it has to keep them focused on doing the right things at the right time. And it needs to be specific to your business. So today, we're actually going to work on developing one piece of your plan for growth. And that is knowing who you serve best and where you're going to find them. So let's talk about what's a great client. From my perspective, well, let me just hear, who can just tell me real quickly, what's a great client? How would you define a great client? Tina.
Dave Jenks always told me that if they're ready, willing, and able, like they're able to pay, they're ready to do the work, and they're all able to do it. So I was ready, willing, and able is what he always told me.
I love that. Who else has a thought? Kirby.
So I think a great client is one that asks questions, and they're open to learning, but they also see the value in the service that you're providing. And they're able to, connect and share that experience with you of what has worked for them and what hasn't worked, but they're invested in, the growth of their business or their objective.
I love that. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, great client for me is somebody who really comes and knows what they want and views our relationship as a partnership rather than just a business thing. So what do we both need to do to achieve my client's goals?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I think we'll do one more because we don't have a lot of time. So Phil.
I have one word, qualified. And since we all have different businesses, it's different for all of our businesses. But whatever those parameters are, if they're qualified, they're a good client.
Right. So I think you all have hit on a lot of the most important points. It's a client who is ready to make a change. Whatever your business does that will help your client, they're ready for that. They believe that what you offer will really help them. And they know that what you offer is worth paying for. And I think there's one more piece that wasn't mentioned by all of you, and that is that you enjoy working with them. I think that's really an important piece as well. So we're going to start working on your business now, keeping those ideas in mind. I am going to share with you the document that I had you guys download. And I'm going to ask you to go to the second page. Let me just get it up there. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
So you can see the client mapping document? Okay, cool. So you're going to go to this page that looks like a big grid. And I want you to put down your 20 or so most recent clients and the name of the company. And then think about what's the lifetime revenue from that client so far. Now, if this is a newer client, you might not have a lifetime revenue for that client yet. when you're doing this, it's different for every business. So you need to figure out which group you want to focus on. It could be your 25 most recent clients. It could be your 25 best clients, whoever you think is your 25 best clients. So I did this with a group of people from Barnes and Noble, and for them, it wasn't the 25 clients who walked in the door buying books. It was, who are the 25 corporate clients that we have, okay? So think about, for you, what is this? Is this a list of your 25 most recent clients, your 25 biggest clients? So I have a customer who sells retail product, and she's got different levels of the product that she sells. So she was doing this based on the 25 clients who bought her larger, more expensive items. So think for you about who those 20 or 25 people would be. And just write down the names of those clients for yourself. And then the lifetime value is a really interesting factor. You know, I have a client who is a relatively small client on a monthly basis, but she's been a client for 4 years. So the lifetime value of that client is more than my clients who are only with me for 6 months, right? So that's an important piece to be thinking about as well.
Lynn, excuse me?
Yes, Tina.
Pardon me. So one of the questions we have, I thought this was important to interrupt. Steve is asking, what if you started a new business and don't have clients yet? I was thinking maybe like your top, connections.
Centers of influence, maybe.
Centers of influence. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, Tina, and thanks for noticing that question. Yes, you could start with your 25 centers of influence that you have, and whether or not maybe you don't have clients yet, but whether or not maybe it's people who have expressed an interest in what you offer. Okay, maybe you haven't sold to them yet, but people who have expressed an interest, you could start there. If it's a business that's new to you, that you're owning it, but it's you're doing the same thing that you did for someone else in the past, you could think about your previous clients. Okay.
Yeah, I actually have 2 companies, and I do have a few clients. So I don't have 25 clients.
No worries. No worries. If you're starting a business, you don't have that many yet. Just do as many as you've got.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I told you about repeat clients. And then, I was also saying, is it a bigger client or a smaller client? So put that down as well. And then the final thing on there is, how did I find out about that person? So I'll give you a couple of examples. One of my sources of clients has been that I spoke at a small business event, and that was a great source of several clients for me. So it could be a speaking opportunity. Another source of clients for me has been through LinkedIn. So I was focused, using a focused method of connecting to people on LinkedIn, and that was a source of clients. Obviously, Master Networks is a source. It could be a source of clients for you. It could be another networking group. And then, of course, the last one that I think about is referrals. Now, here's what's interesting. If you can think about how did you find out about that source, so what's the next level, right? The networking event, it wasn't a networking event, the small business event that I spoke at, I found that by doing an online search for small business events. So that was my source, was a search for small business events. Okay. So you're gonna you'll put down the source, and then if that source came from somewhere else, another really big set of referrals for me has come from another business coach that I met at a networking event. And I'm just going to tell you the story about that because I think it's really critical. I didn't even realize how important this was, but until I started doing this for myself a few years ago. I'd been going to this two different networking groups. One of them, I worked with almost everybody in the group in one way or another. Most of them did something very small with me, and that was all. But I'd worked with almost everybody in the entire group. The other networking group, I didn't work with anybody. At least I thought that. And then, as I did this client mapping, I realized, oh, but I got this client from a referral from that group, and I got this client from a referral from that group. And they were big clients, not small clients. The thing is, I had just given up that networking group because I thought, oh, doesn't seem to be worth my while. So this is an important thing for you to think about. Where is it actually coming from? Okay. So how are you guys doing? Who's got a question? Tina.
Nikki, you were asking a question. Would you like to go ahead?
Sure. Yeah, I was just wondering if there is a formula, like a mathematical formula that we could figure out the total lifetime revenue from the client.
Well, there is if your service is simple, it could be how long is this person a client and how much are you making from them every month or every quarter, or every year, whatever it is, right? But often it's not that simple. Often you start with someone with something smaller, and then they ask to do more with you, and then they ask to do more with you. So the answer to that is you have to be keeping track, right? Okay. You just have to be keeping track of what am I getting from each client.
Okay, thank you.
And we talk about that, Nikki. I know in the 7 numbers in Master Networks, we talk about the 7 numbers you should need to know for your business. So that's something we can also talk about later, but definitely be keeping track for even your tax purposes and P&L, profit and loss statement, that kind of thing. And that's something we could also, maybe that's another seminar.
Maybe, yeah.
Thank you.
As I said, it's not always simple. If it's the same amount every month or every year, then it's easy. How many years have they been with you? But if and there's a lot more you can do with a number like that. Then you can start to figure out the average lifetime value of a client and that kind of thing. But for now, we're really just looking at these clients. All right. Other questions? How are you all doing? Did you get your list?
Rob Lowenthal's asking, Rob, you want to open that up and ask?
Sure, I can do that. In my business, the total lifetime revenue from a client. So a lot of times a client will purchase a house, and be in that house for 10, 12 years. That's not the way I register total lifetime revenue. Well, how many referrals am I getting from that particular client? Should I include that in the total revenue as referrals, because I'm getting referrals for other people that want to buy or sell houses from that same client?
Right. As long as it's not double counted. Yes, if the lifetime value is including the referral income, that's great, but then you can't put the person who referred on there again, who is referred to again, because that would be double counting the same revenue, right? So you can't do that.
I mean, yeah, a large portion of my business is referrals from previous clients and current clients.
Rob,
Right.
just to let you know, Sammy chimed in and said that's what she does, Rob. And I know she's one of the queens. We have two queens of tracking. We have Julia Moore and Sammy Vecchiola. So they'll, I'm sure, being that she's in the same category, industry as you, so I'm
Yeah.
sure she'd help you.
Oh, yeah.
So actually, Rob, in fact, it's important to know both, I think, right? It is important to know both, but so either you're tracking the referrals, because that is critical, referral value of a client, but also you can't double count it when you're looking at this, okay? Okay, cool. Other questions?
I actually, I have a thought. I mean, I know Julia Moore does this and has been doing this since she came into Master Networks like 6 years ago. She has a family tree. She knows how much deep this how many people deep this goes.
Yep.
So it's if you're, you could start right now doing something like that. You could really be able to see, like, Kirby, you're just coming in. So you could start something like that now, like who's telling you, who's referring you to who,
Right.
and just kind of getting that family tree.
And this is going to be simpler than doing all of that, but it's the same idea. It's the same idea. All right. I don't see any more hands up. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here. Now you've got your list. I want you to cut out anyone who's a pain in the neck to work with, because we all have those people, right? There's all those where the phone rings and you think, oh, do I really want to answer that phone? Take those people off your list. And then I also want you to take off your list anyone who's having trouble paying you. For whatever reason they're having trouble paying you. That's not a type of client you want to repeat, right? You're not going to look for more people like that. All right. So spend some time on that. You'll see at the bottom I have these R equals referral and S equals speaking opportunity, L equals LinkedIn, N equals networking. You can do add others to that, obviously, if you've got other ways that you meet people. But sometimes it's helpful to just think about that over here in the source. So that I just put those initials in for the source. All right. I can't see everybody, so I'm trying to see whether or not you guys have had enough time to work on your own business here before we move on.
And Lynn, this is being recorded. We'll put it up in our Master Networks New York, Connecticut, New Jersey region YouTube channel. So
Okay.
they can always go back and refer to that.
Great. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on then. We're gonna skip the next page and we're gonna go down to this page with all the circles on it. This is kind of a visual way of looking at what you've got here. I tend to like to have a visual map of what's going on. So this is creating your map. And Tina, this is very much like your family tree, except instead of going up or down, we're going towards the center of this tree. So in the outside, in the yellow circles, you're going to put the names of the clients that are left on your list, okay? The top 10 or so. I think I left space here for 10. The top 10. You put the names of the clients. And then you're going to, in the blue, you're going to put down the direct referral source. So I got a referral from Phil. So you put referral from Phil. Or I met through LinkedIn or whatever. So that goes in the blue. So you'll have these people's names, and then you'll draw lines to Phil. So if I put Susie here as my client, no, come on, doesn't want me to draw in there. Okay. Well, it's not letting me do it at the moment. maybe because I'm online. If I put Susie here in this circle, she's my client, and I got a referral from Phil, I'll put Phil over here in the blue. And then the question is, and I'll draw a line from Susie to Phil. And there might be a line over here from Rob to Phil too, because Phil also introduced me to Rob, right? And then the next question is, what's the next level? How did I meet Phil? And you're going to put that in one of the orange. Questions? Okay, no questions. You got it?
Hey, Lynn, it's Pasquale. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of this filled out from your perspective at some point so we can sort of see like how it works?
I don't. But let me see if I can find another way to interact with it and make it work so you can see it as I'm filling it out.
You can insert a text box.
Yeah, that's what I think I'll do.
And what is going in the orange color?
Where you met that one
Oh,
before.
I met
so-
them.
Okay, I'll do this. Oh, that didn't work. Insert a text box. Okay, so this is Susie. And I met Susie through Phil. Oops. And I met Phil through Master Networks. Gotta make that bigger. And let's say that was Mount Pleasant because that's my home chapter. Okay. Oh, didn't spell that too well, but SA. Okay. Oh, there. Okay. I also met Rob through Phil.
Lynn, while you're doing this, can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So as we're going through this exercise, we're going to start to notice, I mean, obviously we could add more different colored circles, but we should start seeing a pattern then.
Exactly.
Where we're getting, if it's Master Networks in general, like does it ever pay to have like another level? Like maybe it's Master Networks, your chapter, Master Networks, regional. Does it pay to get micro topic like that, or does that then become too complicated?
So Susie or Maggie, I think I was looking at what I wrote here. Maggie, I think it's not necessary to get more specific. I mean, yes, you can get more specific, but the purpose of this is really to help you figure out what to do next. Okay, and to say I have to go to another meeting of Master Networks Mount Pleasant isn't really helping you. You already know that, you're already going there. What I would hope you'll get from this is I need to find other groups that act like the Mount Pleasant group of Master Networks so that they have the same kinds of feeling. I have the same kind of feeling when I come away from it. Does that make sense, Maggie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So,
I have a question
yes.
because this makes me want to pour into Phil more, right?
Correct.
So
but also, here's the other thing. who is Phil? What does he do? I need to find more people like Phil. Does that make sense? And then where am I going to find more people like Phil? So yes, that's true, but take it to the next step.
Well, we know he's one of a kind, so I know we're gonna find more Phils.
Right. All right. So I'm going to add somebody else over here. So let's say Charlie is someone you met directly at Master Networks, right? This is why I think it's actually easier to do this on paper, because it's a whole lot easier to draw these lines and things on paper.
You can just copy and paste them. It's quick.
Yeah,
Take the existing ones, cut.
I
copy,
could,
paste.
yeah. So now you see that several things have pointed to Master Networks to Mount Pleasant. But then you already are there and you already know that that's a good connection. So you have to take it the next step. How do I find another group that's like that? And how do I find another person like Phil? And what is it about Phil that is getting me the leads that I'm looking for? And then of course you'll have other people out here. And it could be that, Master Networks introduced you to somebody else, something else. And so now your group is over here. Okay? And when you do this, you're going to start to see, I've got a whole lot of lines going here, right? And that's what happened when I told you before, I was getting referrals from this one person, and I didn't really think about where did I meet that person, right? How did I meet that referral person? Well, I met that referral person at a networking group that I had stopped attending because I didn't think it was really worth my while to attend. I'd totally forgotten that that's how I met this person who was a great referral partner. And another thing you notice, I was doing this with another client, and she was thinking that there was one online event that she was doing, and she said, I think it's not really worth my time, so I'm going to stop doing it. But then she started looking at where her big customers were coming from. And even though there weren't a lot of sales, the total dollar volume, the bigger customers were coming from that event. So as a result of doing this mapping, she was able to say, oh, wow, I guess I need to keep doing this because I'm getting my big clients from an event like this. And then how do I find another event like this? Okay, questions? Dustin.
Yes. So Lynn, you would classify Phil as a referral partner?
Yep. Okay. Unless he's also a client.
Okay. In my industry, I try to partner up or find IT companies to partner up with and share leads back and forth. So instead of categorizing Phil, would you categorize it as a specific industry that you've partnered up with?
Well, that's an interesting point. So yes, it could be Phil, who is a part of this industry, has become a great referral partner. How do I find more people in that industry, right? But you also could say, but I didn't meet Phil through the industry. I met Phil through Master Networks. So how do I find more things like Master Networks? Is that clear, Dustin? Okay, Rob.
Absolutely. But you could also categorize that industry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, in this chart, you should be able to, so it's like Phil to Susie or Phil to Charlie or Phil to me. But, a lot of times the referrals are deeper than many more levels. So Phil will refer somebody to Charlie, Charlie will refer that same person to me. So sometimes I don't know somebody, but I know somebody who knows somebody, you know. Yeah. So
Right.
it's more so can you run lines? It doesn't, all the lines don't have to run directly from Phil. Can they run from Phil to Rob to Charlie to Susie? I mean,
You
it
could
would
do
make
that.
sense.
You
Yeah.
could do that, but you need to find more people like Phil. So that was kind of the tree that Tina was talking about. But you need to find more people like Phil who know those other people. Does that make sense?
That does, but usually it maps out as sometimes 1, 2 levels. It's just like master networks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a referral that refers me to somebody else.
Yeah.
Does that make any sort of sense or no?
It does. It does. So this isn't perfect. And yes, I could have given you 12 levels and that would have been really complicated. And I'm trying to make it more simple so that you can look at it and say, okay, Phil's the one who's actually sending me people. How did I meet Phil? Okay. Just don't make it so complicated that you can't act on it. That's really the key. Mary Beth.
Hi, so I'm trying to figure out, and maybe I missed this. What's the end game in filling out this entire form to see what you need to focus on, or to see where your referrals are coming from, or I'm just trying to figure out what the
It's
end
to
game
figure out
is.
where do I focus my efforts?
Okay.
Where do I focus my efforts? What do I need to find more of? Right? So it could be I need to find more groups like Master Networks. It could be I need to attend more Master Networks groups. It could be I need to go to Master Networks groups targeting getting to know people like Phil. Okay? Stacy.
Thanks.
Good to see you, Stacy.
Good to see you, Lynn. So obviously we all need more people like Phil. I mean, Phil's an incredibly kind soul who makes the effort to make the connection. So it's not always the fact that he came from Master Networks. It's his personality style.
Yep.
Now, we don't need to find more people working in franchising. We need to find more kind souls like Phil.
Yes.
So I guess
Again,
then you look
though,
for sources, you look for organizations like Master Networks where those people exist.
exactly. You look for how did I originally meet that person? Because what we tend to find, this comes back to Tina's culture issue. You find people who are similar in similar places. And if you like the person you're talking with and you're working with, then how else can you find more people like that? You go to the places where they are, right? So where does Phil go? Okay, let me find out where Phil goes because there's going to be more people like him.
Poor Phil, we're all going to start.
Poor Phil. Sorry, Phil. Jeffrey, what's your question?
Hi, Lynn. I have a question. So I think I might need to create 2 maps, and you tell me if I'm looking at this correctly. I have clients that I directly find or work with that are my clients, but I also have a team. I'm a team lead at my company. I have a team of salespeople that I help. So should I have a second map saying, I've got Tim who's on my team. Where did I find Tim? Because he's bringing clients to me. And I have Manny on my team. Where did I find Manny? Because he's bringing clients to me.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I was thinking this through correctly.
Yes, because you essentially have 2 separate sets of clients, right? You've
Correct.
got the direct clients and then you've got your team who are bringing you clients. So yes, that's 2 separate sets of clients. So you'd have to do this separately for each set.
Awesome. And I'm on my phone in my car. Can somebody possibly email this this document out so I can do this later on my computer?
So we'll have that document. I think I can put it into at least a link to it, maybe in the YouTube with the recording.
Okay, great. Thanks,
Hopefully
Tina.
we'll have that together.
If you have trouble with that, let me know. Jeffrey, you can reach out to me directly if you'd like.
Yeah, Jeffrey,
Awesome.
I just put it in the chat again. If you can get
Anybody else who's having trouble?
He's in the car.
Yeah. Anyone else who's having trouble getting the document, just reach out to me and I'll send it to you. Okay. All right. Other questions? So Rob, your hand is still up. Did I answer your questions or you have another one?
You-
Oh, he's down. His is down.
No, I'm
Stacy?
good. Yeah.
Okay. Stacy, your hand is still up. Did I answer your questions? I did. Okay. Cool. All right. So now that you've got your map, we'll go back to the other page, which is what is my action plan for the future? So now you've looked at it and you've said, okay, I'm getting my source. I split this into two categories. My sources of like groups, or it could be referrals, right? So I split it into two categories. So what was my source, the name of the source? So there you would put Master Networks. And what type of an organization is it? What's the activities that they do? What is it that I think makes this organization great and a great referral organization for me? And then where else can I find that kind of an organization? So in this case, if we're talking about Master Networks, and I assume that at some point, most of you, unless you're new to Master Networks, will have Master Networks on as one of your sources. So you're going to write down Master Networks. It's a networking group that's focused on building relationships as opposed to giving referrals and requirements and things like that. So how can I find more organizations like that? And in my mind, it comes down to what are the values of the organization. So Master Networks has values that talk about building building relationships. So how do I find more organizations that do that? And then you're going to search for other organizations that do that. But you also could say, Master Networks, in this chapter, maybe I should go to other chapters as well, right? So, and it could be chapters within the Northeast region, or it could be somewhere else in the country, depending on what your business is. And then the second thing is for referrals. You have the name of the referral. Then you can put down the industry they were in. But I have here a column that says, the reason this referral source works for me. So this gets to, I think it was Stacy's point of, this works for me because of his personality, not because of his industry, right? So write down the reason this referral source works for me, and then where can I meet more people like that? And then you're going to figure out what are your next steps based on this analysis. And again, as I said earlier to someone, don't make it too complicated. This is not intended to be complicated. This is intended to be simple and actionable, right? Don't make it too complicated. I think very often people think, oh, I've got to analyze all these little pieces, analyze it to death, and you end up analyzing and analyzing and analyzing and not doing. And what's much more important is that you get out there and do it. So I'm a real proponent of make a plan and then take action on that plan. Don't continue to plan and study and, make more plans, and you won't get anywhere that way. You have to make your plan and take action on it. And one of the things that I think it's really important to think about is that people who are successful, they figure out what they're going to do, they go and do it, and when it doesn't work, they stop and they do something else. In the meantime, there's someone else who has same idea, and they think about it, and they plan for it, and they plan for it, and then maybe I'll just do this little piece of it. And in the meantime, the person who thought about it and tried it and did it right away, they made progress because they learned every time they failed. Every time it didn't work, they learned something not to do. If you sit and you plan and you plan and you plan, and then you do it and it doesn't work, you've lost all of that time, right? But I also have to tell you that you got to make the plan. Like, spend a few minutes making that plan for what you're going to do. Otherwise, you're just kind of all over the place. and making the plan. I've got 3 questions that'll really help you. I didn't put that in here. I wasn't even going to talk about that today, but 3 questions that'll really help you make the plan. What's the outcome that I'm looking for? What are the obstacles or problems that could get in the way? And what's most important for me to get right? If you answer those 3 questions, and often you can answer those 3 questions in a few minutes, it doesn't take hours and weeks and months to plan it. Answer those 3 questions and then go try it. And you'll avoid all the worst problems because you've thought about what they are. And you'll be underway.
Can you repeat those?
Yep. What is the outcome that I'm looking for? What are the problems or obstacles that could get in the way? And what is most important for me to get right? And if you stay focused on that thing that's most important to get right, and you make a plan to avoid those things that are obstacles, you're much more likely to be successful than if you just went and did it. Okay, Jeffrey, question.
Yeah, first I just want to say thank you. I already got 3 emails with the attachment. You guys are amazing. I'm not surprised by that at all, but just wanted to say thank you to everybody that sent that. And my question, obviously, as I said, I'm on my phone, so I haven't done this mapping yet, but my thought process is I get the overwhelming majority of my direct clients by walking through the door and introducing myself to them. But it's a lot of work. So I think what I might learn from this mapping exercise is that I need to change how I'm getting my clients, because there's just so much work involved in doing it the way I'm doing it. And I need to be focusing more on getting referrals from my current clients because it's just a lot easier. So without even having done this, I'm already seeing what I'm learning from this without even having completed the exercise yet.
Yeah, so I love that. And Jeffrey, if you make a plan so that you spend some portion of your week reconnecting with your current clients and asking for referrals, that will already make a big difference. It doesn't take a lot, just to reconnect every week. If you reconnect with 4 clients, over time you'll reach them all.
Awesome. Thank you. This was great.
Yep. Good. Leslie, nice to see you, Leslie. Oh, you disappeared.
She's there. Her hand just went.
Okay, go ahead, Leslie.
Hi, Lynn. How often should we revisit this?
That's a really good question. I actually revisit it myself about once a year. I think it depends partly on how your sales cycle. So how long is that? If you only have 5 sales in a year, like a realtor maybe, or 10 sales in a year, maybe it's a couple of years. If on the other hand you have 10 sales a day, you probably need to do it more frequently, right? So it's a little bit different depending on the business, but I definitely think this is not a one and done. This is something you do periodically.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Dustin.
Yes. So Lynn, what do you find is the biggest obstacles that business owners encounter? Would one of those obstacles be themselves?
Oh yeah. Honestly, the biggest obstacle, especially when we're talking about sales, is people avoiding doing the things they don't really want to do. That's really the biggest obstacle.
So what would your advice be for that? Because that's something that I kind of struggle with myself in my industry. So how can you get over that?
So small actions. Don't say to yourself, I got to make 50 calls this week. Say, I'm going to make calls for 30 minutes this week, each day. 30 calls, 30 minutes each day. That's usually about 10 calls, Dustin, in 30 minutes, because you won't reach people most of the time. Okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes making calls. That doesn't sound so overwhelming. And for those of you who are really new and you don't like making calls and you're afraid to make calls and you never want to do it, start with 1 call. I'm going to make 1 call today, and I'm going to make 1 call tomorrow. Just start there. But I think breaking it down into smaller categories so that it's just doesn't sound like such a big deal. Doing it a little bit every day is great. Okay, Jeffrey, are you back up with another question, or is your hand's still up? I can't tell.
I did not put my hand down. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I did want to do two things before we go, and then I'll stay on with any questions anyone has. The first is I have a free ebook that you guys could download if you want. It's 5 Keys to Success for small business owners. You can go to lynsfreegift.com to get that.
And you spell your name Lynnes,
lynsfreegift.com. So I put that in the chat. Thanks, Rob. And then for those of you who are interested in going deeper on this or some other business issue, I would love to set up a one-to-one with you, offer you a business acceleration call. And we'll get on the phone and we'll talk about the things that are most likely holding you back in your business, and the 1 or 2 steps that you can take to move forward. So I will put a link in the chat to my calendar. And you can go ahead and set up a call if you would like a longer conversation with me. And we can talk about this, or we can talk about what other issues you have going on.
Great, that's awesome. Lynn, I think, are you done then?
I am, except I'm here for questions.
Okay, so I just want to mention to everybody, I want to say thank you, Lynn. Like, this kind of working lunch, I hope you guys are getting, something out of. Thank you so much for coming and doing this for us. If you guys want to have more information about what we're doing next time, I mean, just keep an eye out for my newsletter that goes up every week on Sundays. If you're not getting it, let me know. But also you can look at our website, which is masternetworksnyct.com. It's New York, Connecticut, masternetworksnyct.com. See what's going on there in the region, and our Facebook pages. And I just want to make sure these are members helping members. And I really thank you taking your own time, Lynn. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
And
I will stay for questions if anyone wants to continue.
And I'm going to
talk
stop
about this
recording.
later.
And Rob, you wanted to say something.